Yellowstone Supervolcano Magma Plume runs all the way from Yellowstone, from Wyoming, down to the border of US and Mexico. An underwater fountain of magma found beneath Yellowstone Supervolcano, and it heightens fears that a major eruption could be on its way. Researchers found a column of hot volcanic ash known as magma plume beneath the volcano, and they believe it stretches all the way up from Mexico. This is a plume that on the west goes towards the San Andreas Fault and under the Walker Lane Fault system that has the high threat volcanoes of California on the west coast. And the east branch goes through Nevada, Utah, and into Wyoming, and then turns right to the west into Idaho. Experts suggest that the plume could be the source of the heat that drives so much of the volcano's surface activity, such as its world famous, of course, geysers and bubbling springs. And the news follows a spate of 4 mini tremors in the area. And as we saw this past week, we had close to 800, and we had the past 28 days. And we'll see it again, close to 800 tremors, most of them being earthquake swarms. So there are thoughts of the volcano supereruption about to blow. In other words, in geometric time, it could be thousands of years. Now, a magma plume is an unusual geologic feature. It lies at the boundary between the Earth's core and the mantle, and it raises through the mantle into the crust. And though just still a theory, this abnormality would exist as a vertical stream of magma. Finally, support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below. Here we see part of the caldera in the red dotted lines, and we have here on the 4 or 5 o'clock position the Yellowstone Lake, which is on top of the caldera, which is only the roof of which is only 3 miles down. So if you're standing around Yellowstone at that area, you're standing 3 miles above the roof of the actual magma chamber. And here you have the sections of the plume and the depths of it, and you can see that it heads towards the west as well as into Yellowstone in various depths. Now, the magma, the underwater fountain of magma found, mantle plume starts with a long-lived stationary hotspot within the mantle, and the hotspots create localized plumes of hot rising mantle material, and then as the plume rises towards Earth's surface and the crust, the reduction in pressure allows partial melting of the mantle material within the plume to form basaltic magma. And this magma is hotter and moves more slowly than surrounding material, creating a column of rising ash and debris. Now, whether or not a mantle plume might lie beneath Yellowstone National Park has been hotly debated for decades. But using new imaging techniques, 2 researchers from the University of Texas suggest they have finally found proof of the elusive column. They analyzed seismic activity around the world using data obtained by the US Array Network, which has listening stations posted across America. And based on these readings, the team discovered a 45 by 34 mile channel where seismic waves are shown. And they're slower. Researchers found the plume, the magma plume under Yellowstone, and they believe it stretches from Mexico. The plume was found tracing volcanic activity through the Earth's mantle at various seismic stations across America, North America. And the plume may be triggering highly heightened volcanic activity at Yellowstone National Park. And also researchers analyzed seismic activity using the stations positioned across North America. And on these readings, they found the discovery of a 45 by 34 mile chamber where seismic activities are slower. Now, this suggests that this long, thin, sloping zone is filled with unusually warm material, and it forms parts of a mantle plume that stretches all the way from Mexico, the US-Mexico border. And researchers calculated that the mantle is hotter than any of its surroundings, reaching temperatures of around 600 to 800 degrees Celsius, which is 1,100 to 1,450 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's 8 times hotter than boiling point of water. Now, this hot column may be enough to drive surface activity at the park, scientists said. It may explain the recent increase in volcanic activity in the area, meaning, of course, volcanic earthquakes. So previous studies have been unable to identify if a magma plume runs under the park, where we have the supervolcano, because imaging techniques available to scientists were not accurate enough. Now, the researchers led by University of Texas geologist Dr. Peter Nelson wrote in their paper, "Our results strongly support a deep origin for the Yellowstone hotspot and also provide evidence for the existence of thin thermal mantle plumes that are currently beyond the resolution of global tomography models. Some are worried that recent heightened volcanic activity at Yellowstone may indicate the park's subsurface supervolcano may be getting ready to have another eruption. Now, what we're worried about, of course, is a super eruption. Below the surface of Yellowstone, which lays across parts of Wyoming, Montana, and Idaho, lies the caldera supervolcano, which last erupted with a super eruption about 630,000 years ago. Yellowstone is home to several faults. It has a long history of seismic activity. As natural processes occur beneath the surface and stress effects from the past events continue to maintain their hold, the area remains a hotbed of seismicity and earthquake swarm activity, according to USGS. Many tremors in the areas take place, raising fears that Yellowstone supervolcano could blow again. The most recent are basically, of course, small earthquakes. But experts say that it's a relatively quiet period for tremors in the area. Normally, there are 50 minor earthquakes every week. Well, we have more now. Tom Skilling, the meteorologist for WGN News, a local site in Chicago, said minor earthquakes occur in the Yellowstone area 50 or more times a week, but a major eruption is not expected in the foreseeable future. This is by Harry Petit, Daily Mail. It's on Bended Reality. Let's take a look at some of the monitoring and the earthquakes taking place there now. We are at Seismo Berkeley, and we have the activity. The red is the past hour, and the blue is the past day, and the past week are the yellow. And you can see the seismicity here coming from this area, Mexico, U.S. border. They don't show Mexico earthquakes, but that's a different thing. And we assume they will be there. But you can see the west under San Francisco activity, and also under Walker Lane fault system, but that has the high threat volcanoes of California. San Andreas fault takes up 75% of the subduction pressure from the Pacific plate underneath the North American plate, and the Walker Lane fault system takes the other 25% of the pressure of the subduction. And then you have, it's like a Y-shaped mantle. The west is under this area, and the east goes through Nevada, Utah, into Wyoming, and then turns west into Idaho as well. So this is the shape of the mantle plume that we saw before. Now going into the map, 390 quakes in the past 28 days in this area alone. And most of them are swarms, as we could see. One of them being a 2.6 magnitude that we had about 2 weeks ago, 3 miles depth, which is the roof of the magma chamber. 3 miles down from here, if you're standing in this area, you have the roof of the magma chamber under your feet. Now let's go take a look at this GPS HVWY to see the movement since 2006. And this is the east-west graph. If it goes up, it means it's going east. Well, here it was going west and then sort of turning east and then west. And then it's going east. It's heading east since 2014. This is the north-south graph. It was going north, then south, then north, now it's going south. So it's going southeast. And it was inflating, deflating, inflating, and deflating, and now it's inflating. Inflating a little bit, going southeast, but basically it's breathing. It's moving in various directions. And now we can go to Hebgen Lake, which erupted, which had not erupted, had a big earthquake in 1959 of 7.3 magnitude in August of that month, of that year. We see it's going northeast, and it's inflating seasonal. Okay, so that's different than what we saw over the caldera. Let's go take another one. Is this GPS P709? Okay, that's the same thing as Hebgen Lake. We have east, northeast, and slightly inflating, which is totally different than this. It's going southeast, and it was deflating up to 2020 and then inflating. So I'll leave links below for you for this. You can see what's going on there. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support.